We're here live at the premiere of Finding Justice, which airs March 10th at 8 p.m. It's a 6-part docuseries that examines injustices affecting Black communities, so make sure you guys stay tuned. The documentary travels across the country to join activists as they battle to bring change. Now, if I piqued your interest, then make sure you stay tuned for more of this impactful event. What's up, guys? It's your girl, Alexus Renee, and I am here with the handsome Rashad Robinson. So nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Now, you have your hands on a whole lot of things. You're the president of Color of Change, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so can you tell my viewers a little bit about that?
Color of Change is a next generation racial justice organization. We were founded after Hurricane Katrina when Black folks were on their roofs begging for the government to do something and were literally left to die. And Katrina illustrated so many things that people already knew: geographic segregation, generational poverty. But at the heart of it, it reminded us that we needed a new type of infrastructure to channel that energy, that outrage into real change, because no one was nervous about disappointing Black people. The government, corporations, and media, when people are not nervous about disappointing your community, you don't need a research report, you need political power. And so Color of Change as a force, 1.5 million Black folks and their allies of every race, and what we do every single day is to fight the institutions that are holding us back, fighting to force Bill O'Reilly off the air by holding corporations accountable and forcing all the advertisers to leave, fighting to hold prosecutors accountable who don't value Black lives and kicking them out of office or forcing them to change the rules on some of their policies, pushing on Hollywood to change the rules of their production and forcing the TV show Cops off of Fox after 25 years on the air. All of that is the type of work. One thing I'm really proud of is after Charlottesville, we came in and we forced the credit card companies to stop processing fees for those white nationalist organizations, cutting off their money. And so, what we recognize is that our community has power when we can come together and channel it. And so in those moments where people are outraged and frustrated, we try to take that power and give people the most strategic thing to do.
Absolutely. Oh, that was so amazing. I know we're here for the premiere for the Finding Justice. How did you become a part of that?
So Finding Justice was a documentary that they reached out to us at Color of Change. They wanted to engage with us because we work on a lot of issues: criminal justice reform, economic justice, climate, so many things. And one of the producers, Dream Hampton, who was also the producer of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, she's on our board of directors, and she reached out and she said, we really want Color of Change involved with this. We said, of course. I sat with him and some other folks on the team sat with him for a time to do interviews and really sort of give them information on campaigns that we have run. I'm so excited that BET put money and resources behind telling these stories and going into communities and following the activists that are really behind the work.
And so what else do you have your hands on that we need to know about?
So one of the big things that we have a big report coming out at the end of next month that looks at all of the crime TV shows, those crime procedure shows, and how they represent Black people and how they represent crime. And we're going to be doing a lot of work to start pushing back on the shows that have been criminalizing us, educating juries, educating police, sending the message that it's okay to criminalize our community. We're really excited about that. We are continuing our work to shift prosecutors' offices. This past election, our political action committee went back to Ferguson after 4 years, of working on the ground, and worked with local advocates in the community and fought and kicked out the 27-year incumbent that wouldn't prosecute after Mike Brown was killed. His name was Bob McCullough. We worked on a campaign called Bye Bob. Bob is now out of office, and now we're working with the new Black district attorney that was elected on the type of reforms around ending marijuana arrests, changing money bail, and all of the things that are going to help make St. Louis work for everyone. And we're going to be bringing that work to cities around the country.
We need that.
Yes, and we're hoping to come right back here to Atlanta and do work here. We were just here during the election cycle trying to help Sister Stacey Abrams get elected. We weren't successful, but she ran an amazing campaign. what we're going to continue to do, and what people can continue to expect, is for Color of Change to be in the most important fights to black people and try to employ the most important and clear strategic interventions to give people the ability to force those in power to know that there are consequences for racism.
Absolutely. And so if someone wanted to lend a hand to your organization, Color of Change, how would they do that?
They can visit us at www.colorofchange.org. They can sign up, they can donate, they can share petitions and other information. They can follow us on social, or they can, just Color of Change is the handles. They can follow me, Rashad Robinson, on Twitter. Okay. Or they can text the word color to 225568, color to 225568, and join us that way too. So there's tons of ways to be involved, but most importantly is as we head into 2020 and beyond, you know, the world will get better if we get involved. 5, 10, 15 years from now, we don't want to talk about what we could have done. We want to talk about what we did.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time to come and talk to me. We'll learn more about this impactful event once we return from a word from our sponsors.
It's about whether or not enough of us fight back.
You're not purchasing freedom. You're renting it.
I always thought that he'll be the one burying me. In this case, the one burying him.
What's happening in Minneapolis is happening across the country.
They're not there to protect the kids, they're there to police the kids.
We got to vote like we never voted before.
Not knowing could have cost my child her life.
Be black is not a crime. Our lives matter too.
Where the gangsters at? Like, everybody hard. If you don't bring somebody $2 off their dope money, they come into your crib. Everybody is so hard when it has something to do with our community. But as soon as someone does something outside of our community to an innocent person, then we say that's not our child. With the folks in prison, the homies in the prison, they go to prison for the day, then they need to feel something. I'm telling you what you need to do, but I'm asking, like, what are men in? Like, if you notice, the Aryan Nation, Ku Klux Klan, they do their job. What happened to our police force? I don't have to name them, we all know what our organizations are. Like, where are the men? There's a certain type of pressure that only we can put on, that we can't talk about while everybody got their cameras out. Like, people continue to do what they do to our community because they don't feel any physical pressure. The day that they felt like the same things would happen to their children, they wouldn't do it no more. My dad had a rule that was called wreck a Benz, buy a Benz. If you're sorry about wrecking my Benz, give me your fucking car. If you're sorry about killing my innocent child, give me yours. That's when things will change to me. When the men do something.
Well, you know, during the whole pursuit of the arrest of Michael Draco, our theme in our camp was pressure, bust pipes. And so we would pressure on so many fronts. So there was only certain things I could do because I'm a lawyer. So Florida Bar was looking to probably snatch my bar card at any time. So there was only certain things that I could do. But then I partnered with community organizations, and I'm a big fan of civil disobedience. I'm a big fan of getting in the streets. I'm a big fan of shutting it down, because you have to hit people where it hurts. And I think in the legal system, I think that we saw Ashley Green say it best, there was not an expectation that we were going to be in the streets. There was not an expectation that we were going to still remain vigilant. And I think what happens in the social media age, that it becomes a trending topic on social media and then we're on to the next thing. But if we could focus and hone and all of the energies and all of the organizations, I think that that pressure will begin to bust the pipes of the system.
There is a sense of fear. This is also a response to what is happening in the country. right? What we're seeing happen in the country is not because we're losing, y'all. There's a demographic shift. But as the country becomes browner and browner, right? Democracy is one thing when you're the majority. Democracy means something else when you're no longer the majority.
The crime was that he went into an interrogation and people like automatically gave him a pass. That his whiteness was literally all that was needed in order to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? That there were 5 gubernatorial candidates and Trayvon's people and thousands of Floridians imploring upon their elected officials to do the work of the people. First of all, why do we have to beg you to do the work of the people? Like, that is why you are there. That is literally your job, right? So I will say this, that we can all do something. We can all acknowledge when we are witnessing an injustice, right? So it is marching, it is protesting, it is litigation, it is writing a check, right? It is registering people to vote. That all of these things matter, that all of them, you put a check with a check with a check, right? With tactics, and it leads up to a strategy.
Google Marissa Alexander. They didn't allow Stand Your Ground to work for her.
Sure did not.
She was a black woman who did the same exact thing. That's how we know that this is not made for us. You know, so, you know, I heard some of the things that they said, you know, in this Finding Justice episode, but what's amazing to me is I'm watching when they're walking out of the jail and she's smiling. At the end of the day, regardless of how you feel, a life was lost. You know, but I just want y'all to know something, and I'm glad that I'm in a position of a business owner, so I can't be bought by nobody. The real truth is most of these white folks feel like they own you. And they feel like you should be grateful just to get any type of hearing. That you should be grateful just to have a position on stage or on television. They don't look at our lives as the same. They don't look at us as being anywhere close to equal. As a descendant of Africans, I believe I'm better. But we'll talk about that later. But I just want y'all to know, every time we step into this situation, we look at it as if it's equal. This shit ain't equal, it's exactly for them. I gave the example of policemen. When the police force, when policemen were actually made, they were meant for 2 things and 2 things only. But since we didn't watch the Nat Turner story, you didn't know this. They created the policemen for 2 things. It was to round up escaped slaves and protect white folks' land. That's it. And then, like he said, you think the system is broke? No, it's working exactly like they wanted. The Stand Your Ground law was exactly for white people. Because like you heard what he said it's the law. Well shit, slavery was a law too. So for me, just because it's a law does not make it right.
The Stand Your Ground law didn't just appear out of anywhere, right? It was written by this organization called the American Legislative Exchange Council, also known as ALEC. ALEC is this right-wing organization that brings state legislators and corporations into private retreats. And they have these private retreats all around the country, and they write what they call model legislation that the state legislators then take back to their states and work to pass. ALEC became so successful that even in Florida, state legislators would come back from an ALEC conference where they got, you know, free alcohol, lots of food, got a great conference, would introduce the bills that they passed at the ALEC conference and forget to take the logo off the top of the paper, and it would still pass. At the ALEC conference, NRA and Walmart wrote the Stand Your Ground law. Why Walmart? Because they're the largest seller of long guns in the country. And they then pushed it as a means to sell more guns in this country. So that's how that all happened, right? That is their strategy. They're gonna stay up overnight working on their strategy and working on their efforts to move that type of legislation. The question is both how do we stop them, but also what is our strategy for what we want? What are we building? What is the infrastructure that we're moving to advance the things that we want? You know, at Color of Change, after Trayvon Martin was murdered, we ran a campaign against the corporations that had been funding Alec and forced 100 of them to divest, leaving Alec with a $1.5 million budget shortfall and forcing them to close down their office in DC and move to smaller ones in Virginia. But in the process, they had already passed these laws in about 20 states. We can't just be on the defensive, we also have to be on the offense as well.
I was just on a television show and I told them, I said, it was like David Banner, they playing chess and we playing checkers. And I said, I wish my people were playing checkers. At least they would know there's a game being played. These folks are not playing. It is a genetic warfare for them. At the base of everything that's going on, they're dead serious about keeping their, and I'm gonna tell y'all something, and this has nothing to do with BET, this is David Banner. I tell people all the time, and I got this from Marcus Garvey. I told him, I said, you know, once I read what Marcus Garvey said, I said, I don't have a problem with racism. I have a problem with white supremacy. And it's your mission to go find out the difference, but I'll say this. Lions take care of lions first. Tigers can't take care of tigers first. The problem isn't white people's racism. They're supposed to take care of their children first. They're supposed to make laws for their children first. They're supposed to give their children the Oscars first. It's not white people's racism that's the problem. It's your lack of racism. It's what you want. Why won't you do the same thing for your people? When something happens to their children, they're coming to your house. So why don't we feel the same passion about creating our own movies? I can't tell you what you should do, but creating your own justice. The other thing is this. White supremacy pays. And until black people understand that, we're going to stay in the same situation. If you're a sellout, they'll pay you. If you're a monkey, they'll pay you. If you do anything that supports white supremacy, they will pay you. So if you notice, politicians in most cases are prostitutes. They get paid for the things that they do. Then why won't we go find some prostitutes and pay them? And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then you persuaded them.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoy our coverage of Finding Justice docuseries, which will be airing on March 10th. Again, make sure you guys tune into that. Now, to keep up to date with celebrity entertainment news like this red carpet event and more that we do, make sure you stay logged into CelebrityMyxer.com. That's Myxer with a Y. I'm your girl, Alexus Renee. You've been watching Celebrity Myxer. Well, remember, stay right here, stay mixed in.